So I really think a lot more smart people should be getting into manufacturing. And it's kind of fun. So it's like, I don't know, it's sort of got a bad name for a while, but it's really interesting.
There are a lot of negative things in the world. There's a lot of terrible things that are happening all over the world, all the time. There are lots of problems that need to get solved. There's lots of things that are miserable and kind of get you down. Life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing. There need to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity. It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness. I find that incredibly exciting. That makes me glad to be alive. I hope you feel the same way.
First of all, I really need to give some thought to how can I provide advice that would be most helpful, and I'm not sure I've given enough thought to give you the best possible answer, but I think certainly being focused on something that you're confident will have high value to someone else, and just being really rigorous in making that assessment, because people tend to, a natural human tendency is wishful thinking. So a challenge for entrepreneurs is to say, well, what's the difference between really believing in your ideals and sticking to them versus pursuing some unrealistic dream that doesn't actually have merit? That is a really difficult thing to tell you. Can you tell the difference between those two things? So you need to be sort of very rigorous self-analysis. I think certainly extremely tenacious, and then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. All those things improve the odds of success. If other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that you will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve.
Really liking what you do, whatever area that you get into, given that even if you're the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. I'd say, and also if you like what you're doing, you think about it even when you're not working. I mean, it's something that your mind is drawn to, and if you don't like it, you just really can't make it work, I think.
I think it's also important to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. So the normal way that we conduct our lives is we reason by analogy. We're doing this because it's like something else that was done, or it's like what other people are doing.
When you're building something new, there's going to be mistakes, and it's important to recognize those mistakes, acknowledge them, and take corrective action. And the success of a company is very much more about how quick are you to fix the mistakes, not will you make mistakes. And if you see the difference between a startup that is successful and one that is not, and it's because the successful one, they both made mistakes, but the successful one recognized the mistakes, fixed them very quickly, and the unsuccessful one tries to deny that the mistakes exist. If you only do things that are certain to succeed, then you're only going to be doing very obvious things. Manufacturing is building the machine that makes the machine. And if you think the machine is important, well, building the machine that makes the machine is also extremely important. And more often than not, what I found is the manufacturing is harder than the original product. For example, at Tesla, we can make like one of a car very easily, but to make thousands of a car with high reliability and quality and where the cost is affordable is extremely hard. I'd say maybe 10 times harder than just making one prototype, but maybe more. But then that kind of prevents the enjoyment of it. It's a difficult dichotomy. In terms of our competitiveness, I think it mostly comes down to our pace of innovation. Our pace of innovation is much, much faster than the big aerospace companies or the sort of country-driven systems. And this is generally true. If you look at innovation from large companies or from smaller companies are generally better at innovating than larger companies. And it has to be that way from a Darwinian standpoint, because smaller companies would just die if they didn't try innovating. Otherwise, people just keep buying the product from the big company. So, but I mean, so then, well, why is SpaceX more innovative? I think it's probably because we've got like a super engineering-driven culture. I mean, it's we're running kind of the Silicon Valley operating system, but you have a sort of a fairly flat hierarchy. You promote rapid communication. Sort of a best ideas wins culture, as opposed to this, having the seniority of the person decide the solution. Which, I mean, that should never be the case in engineering. It should always be a rational basis.
Well, I really think it's just like if you want to advance technology, you've got to recruit the world's best engineers and then create an environment which enables them to be as innovative as possible. So the reward structure, you need to really reward and encourage innovation. Risk-reward asymmetry, where bold moves are, if they go wrong, are punished, but sort of keeping your head down is not punished. That's not good. That will result in a very conservative outcome. So it has to be a requirement that there is significant advancement.